Chapter 79, Haphazard. The Morphils arrive at the Freccia planet, and thanks to Diane, the Morphils are given a direction for where to go. The Legion greets the Morphil, even seeing the Morphils are far more friendly now they've had their own space, and so are up for any instruction. And despite the bad blood between the Legion and Pod offering this kind of help shows signs of putting differences aside for the greater good. Thanks to Nicole's orders, Nicole and Freccia act as the long-range fighters while Zami assists the short-range Morphils. And keep away from where the element is, pretending to look like they are defending another building. And so Zionthor and Vata arrive, and the Forza and Livingar abilities that were assisting their space travel are now put aside. And so some of the Legion members have met Zionthor for the first time, and while Vata is scary in some way, Zionthor is already causing fear in everyone, including the Morphils. After their little chat, the fight begins, 2 versus. A big group really, easy right? No. The Morphils are at the forefront, with Pod acting as the leader to try and lead them more so considering the whole group needs a variety of leaders other than Nicole ordering the whole team. Pod whilst on the Morphil planet after providing the Morphils starts to see this as a potential role but he would still have loads to learn. The Legion while already seeing how much trouble they are in, they already started shooting at Zionthor and Vata from the get-go. But fewer Morphils means less distance for him. Zionthor and Vata are keen to fight to close up, they are fast and strong after all, but weary to avoid attacks, they already got enough element damage within themselves. Zionthor and Vata then have an idea to split while helping each other. Now the Morphils all get beaten down, about 20 Morphils that were sent are all dead. Vata goes for Zami while Zionthor attempts to bring both Nicole and Freccia closer to him using telekinesis. Freccia attempts to hinder Zyantha's power by firing an explosive arrow towards Zyantha's amulet, and even Nicole fires both her fatal laser and grenade launcher at Zionthor, mainly in the face to try and harm Zionthor. It was Viber's fire-like qualities that caused an explosion from that particular arrow from Freccia. Zionthor does take very little damage from this but Freccia still gives both himself and Nicole an upper hand thanks to the arrows. So Freccia uses another arrow to form the spirit of a Beastosaurus, a creature that is normally giant but is only slightly bigger than Zionthor because of the arrow's limitation. Zionthor does get whacked around at first but Zionthor then forms his own astral body to take down the Beastosaurus spirit more easily. Regardless, the arrows keep firing, trying to freeze Zionthor in an icy block, trying to set him on fire, tie him in vines. Even firing at the ground to try and sink Zionthor into the ground via Hamota's material manipulation, alongside zapping him. While the arrows do a great deal of damage, Zionthor is still going, even nearly crushing Nicole via a stomp which Nicole manages to avoid thanks to her shield. But Freccia's second spirit arrow, consisting of a giant squid pulls Zionthor off Nicole. Afterwards, Nicole runs from place to place, trying to fire at Zionthor while also taking cover, even seeing how the environment could help such as making statues fall on Zionthor. To which Zionthor can counter easily, and with Freccia still firing his arrows. The statue falling on the statue was done by Nicole who fired her grenade towards the bottom of the statue which enabled it to fall onto Zionthor before the following happens. Zami and Vata however is another story. Thanks to Zami's shapeshifting suit, he forms a massive exotic skeleton to try and reach Vata's size and strength, and Vata is getting zapped thanks to the multiple types of lightning blasters and the blunt arm weapons. It is still the hardest fight Zami has ever done, but because of the enhanced lightning, Vata is starting to slow down, and even the awesome Atone being in drone mode helps fire at Vata without hitting Zami. Even forms 1 or 2 turrets around to add more fire. It gets to a point where Zami even has a go zapping at Zionthor from afar to help the other side. Seeing that Vata is going down, Zionthor then spawns a plant that hits Zami hard with extra force thanks to merging Forza and the vine. Plus, Zionthor uses telekinesis to push Nicole away into a statue and tangles Freccia with some vines followed by creating his astral body to hit Freccia hard in the face. Now every Legion member is knocked out. Vata is now in the room, as Zami tries to coat the outside of the building in smothered netro. Vata manages to rip the metal away, allowing him to get in, but once he storms his way inside the room, he sees that he has entered a trap where he cannot get out without grabbing the element. Thanks to Zami's cube abilities has practiced making netro in the past, only the metal itself. Not only remembering Diane's distaste for netrotechnology but even forming the metal alone takes a very long time to do. This is what Zami does for many minutes before this battle occurs. A force field is also around, made up of Forza. Vata knew that this was one innovative race regarding the elements but never guessed they would have gone this far, making Freccia's race more advanced compared to other races if their knowledge of the elements was this great. Vata sees Xionthor finishing a fight against Nicole and Freccia. Seeing more for how worthy Xionthor is with the elements, and sadly Vata will not be live to see Xionthor go forward with the elements. And so Vata quickly grabs her motor, and he tries to use her motor to manipulate the underground around him so he can disrupt the force field. He may have at least gained massive injuries after holding her motor for too long, not to mention the element-based injuries he has already. Vata makes it out of the building, trying to crawl to Xionthor, and Xionthor sees this in shock and runs to Vata. Vata explains what situation he is in. And despite his condition, he places her motor into Xionthor's amulet. This is where Xionthor goes into his transition where his body switches between cubes and other materials until her motor is absorbed roughly, and will be fully a part of him once he gets to the element machine in his world. Vata slowly dies. Her motor has eaten enough of him at a point where Vata starts to turn into rock, lava-based matter, sand, dirt and cubes in various places and starts to fall apart more so, making Xionthor very angry and sad. He uses Forza's telekinesis to gather what remains of his father and places them into a metallic container, which he attaches to his armor almost like a bottle hanging off a hiker's belt. He sees the Legion starting to get up. And with the Legion somewhat responsible for Vata's death, Xionthor has a selection of ideas. He uses Livinger's evolution-based abilities to grant himself wings. As well as Forza creates a force field around him. Using both elements to enable him to fly through space and her motor to create multiple explosives to bombard the entire planet with as he zooms up into the air. Despite being worn out, with Xionthor high in the sky, Zami quickly uses cubes to protect himself. Nicole and Freccia from the bombardment from the explosives, completely wrecking the planet. Xionthor even attempts to use Forza to add lightning strikes alongside other planet-based damage like crumbling the land. Minutes later, the Legion started to wake up from the rubble. And the Legion started to look around, and they saw the morphal blood on their hands, and the extra destruction around a planet that was already wrecked. Now it is unrecognizable. With Xionthor getting the third element. Her motor further aids Xionthor's space travel by forming a suit of cubes to enable him to go through asteroids better, making him go faster in a straight line without the need to make severe turns. This angers Freccia, seeing nothing left of his race. And then Zami and even Nicole talk about how they got conflicted. But even then, fighting a foe with an extra element is already a lot compared to fighting a foe consisting of one more element feels near impossible. This makes Zami and Nicole consider the idea that if they continue to cause trouble, then there might not be a reason to be alive once they succeed, or if they fail. Regardless, they go back to the Automaton and they contact Pod to prepare themselves more and keep out for the Automaton in the sky. Despite how big the universe is, Xionthor always knew where his planet was located, and so he arrives at one of the worst-looking planets. This is a planet that was wrecked by all four elements once Vata and his allies lost to the war. Xionthor is looking around the world, so he is looking forward to improving once he releases a new elemental wave. So, one thing he does have enough power for is to create a gravestone for his father, a simple grave at first but will create something more deserving for Vata. And now the grave is made, he is now going to his final destination, the Morphal planet, which is not far from where he is at. Before leaving however, he saw the element machine. It was in a wrecked condition, but he fixed it using her motor, making it functional, and considering that it requires a lot of heat from the hottest core of any planet. The machine can only work in his home world, and so the machine is ready, but everything else needs rounding up.